We're here with our buddy Brent Bozell, who I've known for decades, who is really a guide star for most of the conservative movement, founder of the Media Research Center. And the Media Research Center has put out a fantastic new study on Facebook, and it's serial interference in our elections. Brent Bozell, how are you, my friend?
Mark, how are you? And are we that old that we've known each other for decades? We are.
I'm afraid so, buddy. Okay. Tell us about this report. I mean, people instinctively say, yeah, but you always have to put the meat on the bone. So tell us about Facebook here.
And Mark, that's exactly what we wanted to do. It is like conservatives who were in the 50s and 60s complaining about liberal media bias, but didn't have the evidence for it. We've been looking at big tech, and we're doing a series of studies to see exactly to what degree big tech is interfering with the democratic process in America today. Every time you censor somebody, you're not allowing him to have a voice. And when you're censoring a candidate, you're not allowing that candidate to have a voice. That's a real threat to democracy. We looked at Google, and we found 41 examples with Google. Now, we looked at Facebook. Since 2008, we found 39 examples of Facebook directly interfering with political campaigns. Not every single one, and I'll explain that in a minute if you want, not every single one was against conservative Republicans. About 98% were. But it's systematic, and there's a little bit of good news, I hope. That we I've got a wait and see attitude toward it. It's not like Google, but it's there, and it's something that has to be taken very seriously, because the public conversation today is on social media platforms, whether we like it or not. That's where decisions are being made, and these big tech companies have got to stop interfering with it.
By the way, just as a footnote, you mentioned Google. You know what's interesting about Google? When I type in information looking for stuff, my name always pops up. There's articles that are 3 or 4, even months old, even 3 or 4 years old, the most negative attacks on me ever. Why would those be like in the top 10 search items when I'm searching for stuff and there's Google popping up me being called an anti-Semite, there's me being called... I mean, that's intentional, obviously.
That is intentional. That's playing with the algorithms. They did this in 2022. There were 12 serious contested Senate races. In 9 of the 12 instances, they gave preferential treatment in their listing to the Democrats over the Republicans. Now, 99% of the public doesn't go beyond the first page. The Republicans in 9 of the cases were either at the very bottom of the first page where nobody goes. Half of them or 7 of them, 7 of the 12, were on page 2 where no one goes. Now, why is that important? There was a Pew Center study that was done just several years ago, so you can only assume the numbers are higher now, that showed that 7% of adults make their decision on who to vote for based on Google searches.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. So let's go back to Facebook. Give us some more recent examples of how they've been interfering.
Sure, I'll go through it. The inflection point, by the way, is going to be 2019. 2012, they suspended a veteran PAC that attacked Barack Obama over Benghazi. 2016, they partnered with the left-wing Soros-funded Poynter Institute to create a network of mostly left-leaning fact-checkers. These fact-checkers then went on to suspend numerous pro-Trump pages. They elevated the liberals in the trending news. Here we go, Mark, just what we're talking about. And then they went on to blacklist Ted Cruz and Rand Paul. They suspended, and here's an interesting one. In 2016, in 2008, Google suspended one Hillary Clinton post because she was running against Barack Obama. In 2016, Facebook suspended 6 Bernie Sanders groups in their primary who were challenging Hillary Clinton. In 2018, they censored the pro-life Susan B. Anthony list organization because it was running ads supporting pro-life candidates. It also censored Senator Marsha Blackburn and Congressman Matt Rosendale. It ended ads that allowed Trump. It ended a program that allowed Trump to run ads. In 2020, it censored Trump ads, Trump super PAC ads. Hunter Biden suppression is what exploded in 2020, and then you had the anti-COVID posts, which were all taken down. Here's an interesting one. Elizabeth Warren was censored. Why? Because she had an ad calling for breaking up big tech companies. I love it. They
funny.
also removed an anti-Antifa ad that was run by Marjorie Taylor Greene. In 2021, they officially suspended Donald Trump from their platform. They also deleted a post from a Virginia gubernatorial candidate, Amanda Chase, over something she said in January 6th, about January 6th, 2022. They removed a post from Congressman Robbie Starbucks questioning COVID and masks. They also went after Carrie Lake. They also went Carl Ivey. In 2024 so far, they fact-checked RFK Jr., again, vaccines and masking, and Larry Elder in the primary. Interestingly enough, Mark, although he's barely posting on Facebook, they have not censored Donald Trump so far in this campaign so far. It's a bit of good news. The key...
They don't really have to. They're trying to litigate their way to the presidency, so, that kind of keeps Trump in a box to some extent.
Oh, sure. The key point in this, I think, was after the 2016 elections, when big tech was in a meltdown over what they had allowed to happen. Donald Trump, having a voice with the American people and getting elected president. They decided to have an audit of the left and the right to look at complaints both sides had. And Mark, this is telling. They first audited, they allowed the left to have a group of 96 uber left-wing organizations present their case to Facebook. They presented only a draft, and Sheryl Sandberg, who is the ideologue of Facebook, announced immediately she was going to make their demands her top priority. Their demands, among other things, was more censorship against conservatives and more control over, guess what, the election process at Facebook. In the meantime, former Senator John Kyle was brought on by Facebook to do an audit for conservatives. He met with 30-some, 40-some conservative organizations. He met with me for hours. He was given hundreds of examples of censorship. When his report finally came out with an op-ed in the New York Times, he announced, I am not making this up, he announced that he hadn't found any evidence of any censorship against conservatives. It was such an appalling report that the backlash was so furious that by the end of the day, Facebook had pulled that report. They announced it was only a draft. We suggested
Why did he do that?
We have a draft. Because he was doing the bidding of Facebook is what he was doing. He was doing the bidding of someone at Facebook. And it was atrocious and it was disgraceful. And when Facebook took it back, they tried to say it was only a draft, the first draft. By the way, there's never been a second draft of that report. They've never come out with a report. So what's the good news in all this? The good news in this, and I want one more thing, Mark. We have now 3 different instances where Mark Zuckerberg stood up and called for the censorship to end, and we found that it only got worse every time. So what's going on here, I believe that Mark Zuckerberg, who is a leftist, an uber leftist, we don't overlook the fact that he had his own October surprise in 2020, pouring $400 million in the last week of the campaign. But I believe that he's also a good businessman. And he also understands that this is going to cause him a lot of trouble on Capitol Hill and at the state level, where you've got state's attorney generals investigating him now. But the problem is not Mark Zuckerberg. It's not at the top. The problem, just as with Twitter before Elon Musk took it over and he uncovered it, just as with Google, it's the staff and it's the management. They've got a middle finger to the corporation because they could care less what happens to the corporation. They've got an agenda, and they're on a mission, and it's not going to stop. So Mark Zuckerberg has shown a certain openness. By the way, have you ever called Mr. Google? Have Have you ever tried to talk to anybody at Google? You can't. They are nameless. They are faceless. They are accountable to no one. Facebook, at the very least, has a dialogue with conservatives. And we have seen numerous times where we've worked with them where they have reversed things. So I'm going to give them credit there, but they've got to go much, much further now.
Well, you guys always do fantastic work. And while I have you, you see the extent to which the media and the Democrat Party have really flamed what's going on and inflamed what's going on in these colleges and universities. Brent, you've been on top of this too. It's just appalling. And then Biden's asked about it, and he can't just condemn it. He's got to come to the defense of the Palestinians who apparently are in trouble in this country, which is a joke. You've been around a long time as a conservative. What do you make of this?
Well, I have developed a certain sympathy for liberal Jews in the sense that I believe they are they've been truly gobsmacked because they have lived in an environment of leftism in America where they've given it aid and support and worked with it. And overnight, it has turned on them in the most vicious form possible. And this is across the board. It's even the media that have turned against them and are giving aid and comfort to Hamas. They're not protesters. They're not activists. They're fanatics who are having the inmates have taken over the asylum in Colombia. God bless Robert Kraft. What the Jewish community has to do, any man or any woman who is blessed with wealth and is Jewish should pull his or her support of every major institution, whether it is civic, whether it's a hospital, whether it's academic, whether it's religious, whether it's political, any institution that is unwilling to unequivocally condemn anti-Semitism publicly and forcefully, they should pull every dime of support away. And guess what will happen? Suddenly, these organizations are going to get religion. They're going to have their own come to Yahweh meeting when that happens, and it has to happen. So I've got to take a break. I've got to go. But Newsbusters, which is a part of your umbrella, CBS frets apparently anti-Semitic incidents in Colombia marred peaceful protests. I mean, the media in this country is so corrupt. They're so ideologically radical left. It's grotesque. I want to thank you for all you guys do, Brent, the whole team there. Give them all my best as well. God bless you, my friend. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, all
right. Yeah. Okay, look who's talking. Take care.